Hi everybody, I hope this finds you well, all my friends on YouTube. I thought tonight that we could talk tarot a little bit. It's definitely the name of my channel, so there probably should be some tarot talk on here. I thought tonight that we could talk about some tips that I have acquired over the past 16 years of reading tarot and reading tarot for the public. Don't mind my strangely shiny and red face. I got a little bit sunburnt the other day, and I can see it now in my reflection, and I'm totally looking at myself because I'm vain. But anyway, don't mind that. I just got done working a 12-hour shift, so that was insane. So I'm definitely a little tired, but I wanted to do this video. I wanted to talk to you guys, so I thought we could just talk tarot, and I will share some tips. So these are my tips for when you are ready to start reading for the public, and it's tips on doing private readings as well as parties. So if you're curious on how to go about it, or maybe some rules, some tips that I've picked up, then maybe this video is for you, my darling. I'm not drinking anything fun tonight as I talk to you. I'm just drinking some water out of my it's an inappropriate pug cup. But yeah, so me and my inappropriate pug cup are going to just hang out with you, and we can talk about some of my experiences and some of the things that I've learned on my journey as a tarot reader. I love reading the cards. I'll begin that right now. I absolutely love reading the cards. The cards have introduced me to all kinds of amazing and wonderful people. I've met some people that I consider good friends through the cards. I've had opportunities come to me that I never would have expected from reading the cards. So if you're on the fence about reading tarot, especially whether or not you want to share your gifts publicly, I would definitely say that it is worth every minute of it. I've had many opportunities come my way, and like I say, met some really cool, really nice, really good people. So I would highly recommend to you, if you're curious about tarot or you're curious about getting out there and you want to share it, please do it. Don't hesitate any longer. The hardest reading you're going to do is the first reading that you do. And if you feel ready to read for other people, then you are ready. So just get out there, get your ads out there, get on Facebook, get networking, get online, get on social media, and share your amazing gifts with people. They want tarot readings. People love them. Tarot's never going away. It's never going to go out of fashion, baby. So absolutely embrace tarot, embrace the cards. So I'm going to just share a couple of things that I've learned, and I hope it helps you. So we'll start with doing private readings. So you're ready to finally do some private readings. And here is some advice that I have learned over the years. So number one, and I wrote them in my book. You probably can't see because of the glare, but in this book are some tips so I can kind of stay on track. So you're going to see me glancing down, and it's just because I really wanted to kind of make sure I made some good points on this. So I figured if I had some notes, it would be a good thing. So obviously, when you're doing private readings and when you're doing parties, number one is your safety. And holy crap, I look tired, guys. Wow. Well, I did just work 12 hours, so excuse it. But anyway, your safety is number one. You have to put that first. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters but your safety. If the tarot reader, if you're not safe to read the cards, well then they're not getting read, right? So you need to be saved. So one thing that I've learned is that when you're doing private readings, I would highly recommend you to either A, do them out of your own home if you feel comfortable with that, and having somebody home that isn't present, you know, maybe they're downstairs or maybe they're in the bedroom or maybe they're outside, but just having a friend or a roommate or a partner or somebody home with you while you're doing the readings, just so if anything happens, there's somebody else there. Also, I like doing it out of my home because then I feel safer. I feel safer to get a hold of help if I had to, or I don't know, I just feel safer in my home. So I would definitely recommend to you to do them from home if you feel comfortable with that. Obviously that comes into giving the public your address. Now, I've never had any trouble with that. I've never had anybody come here that was a problem or was disrespectful, or no stalkers or anything crazy like that. I mean, the only thing that I've ever had is that people have left a gift on my doorstep, that kind of thing. So maybe I'm very fortunate to live where I live and have the people that I have in my life that have come for readings, but I've never had a problem with having people coming to my house. So I would really recommend considering that, at least considering that, because when I first started, when I was a young and innocent and sweet tarot reader beginning my journey, I was originally going to people's homes for private readings. I felt bad that they couldn't make it out here, or that they were, if they didn't drive, stuff like that. So I would drive to them. Up until the point where I went to a house and I had a bad feeling about this person from the get-go, but I did not listen to my intuition, which is something that you absolutely should do no matter what. So I go to the house and I pull up, and it looks sketchy, but I grew up in a sketchy neighborhood. I'm not a serial killer. So I went in, all good, pardon me, but I go in, and then the apartment, is upstairs. So I have to go through this really dark stairwell. There's holes clearly punched in the walls all the way up the stairs. I could smell like a strong chemical kind of smell mixed with what kind of smelled like a cat pee mixed with more chemicals. Yeah, it was a really, really strange smell. So that was red flag number 2. I get up to the door. I don't knock, because at this point I'm thinking, you know what, Tasha, you've seen many horror movies. You know how this ends. I felt like I was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing. So I listened. Which was kind of creepy on my part, but I listened outside of the door, and I was supposed to be reading for a lady, and I could hear 2 men inside the apartment arguing with one another, and I couldn't quite hear what they were saying, and for all I know, they weren't doing anything wrong, but they were arguing, and I could hear them moving heavy furniture around and just things getting thrown around in the apartment, and I just hightailed it out of there. I turned around, and I went back to my car, and I messaged the person, and I said, like, are you home? What's going on? I went up to your apartment, and trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, and she messaged me back, and she just got a message from one of my friends saying that her daughter wants to draw a picture of me as a witch in her house. She's 2 years old, and I'm her witch. It's really cute. Sorry guys, got distracted there. But she messaged me. She's like, oh, I went to the mall. I decided not to get I decided not to tell you, but I went to the mall, and I just decided not to do the appointment. She never told me that. I drove halfway across town. I spent an hour of my life that I can't get back. So I thought, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. If you really truly want a reading from me and you want to have that experience, you can make the effort to come out to my home. I don't live far from the city. It's easy to get here, and I figured if you really, really want it, you will come to me. And if you're not willing to make those arrangements, then maybe you can find another tarot reader. So that was my first real negative experience, where I kind of sat and questioned my practices and realized, not everybody is a good person. Not everybody is going to be home when they say they are, or they don't respect your time, and that's just not cool. Your time is precious, their time is precious, and it needs to be a mutual respect kind of thing. So after that happened, I realized that definitely private readings, do them in your home. Have somebody home with you, but I would really recommend public place or at home. Don't drive around and then find out that the person's not even home, or that it's not a safe place. I found out later on that house was actually a meth house. So who knows what would have happened. My intuition was bang on. So seriously, don't mess around with that, guys. Don't. Your safety is number 1. Next thing with private readings, of course, and this is like no pressure, but word of mouth is a really, really big thing in this industry. So many people talk about psychics or tarot readers in a negative way, and we want to avoid that. We don't want to be part of that. We want people to respect us and take us seriously. So it's really important that if you're going to be a tarot reader and you're going to read publicly, that you uphold that and you uphold yourself to some form of high standards. You're worth it, and your clients deserve that. So if you're willing to do tarot, you have to take it seriously, because this is people's lives. Like, this is serious. If someone's coming to you for a tarot reading, they could just be coming for entertainment, but they're still going to take a message away about their life from you. So you have to take it seriously. You have to make sure that when you do that reading, you're putting all of you into it, and that you're giving that person the best reading that you can. So then they're going to go around, they're going to say, geez, I had a reading with Tasha and it was awesome, versus I had a reading with Tasha and she was a complete flake. So really take that seriously, guys. Do a good job. Take your time with people and do the best that you can. Word of mouth is really, really big when you read tarot cards. You want people talking about you, and you want them saying good things. So keep that in mind. That's kind of all the advice that I wrote down about private readings. And maybe one day I'll do a video on private and parties, and we can flesh it out a little bit more. I'm trying to keep this video to 20 minutes. I'm a talker, maybe 30 minutes. So I'm going to move on to parties, because there's a lot more to that, I think, than the private readings. A lot more rules. Private readings, you can form them however you want. You can do whatever spreads you want. You can take as long as you want. That's totally up to you. You need to set those guidelines and then just go with them. When you just have one person and you don't have multiple people waiting, you can really do what you want. With a party, it's a little bit different. So I've been reading the cards for 16 years, like I said. I've been reading publicly for a long time, and I've learned a couple of things when it comes to doing tarot parties. Tarot parties are a lot of fun, and I know some readers don't like doing them. They find them exhausting. I kind of get the opposite. I almost get a high from doing the readings. I come home and I'm like completely jacked up, like completely energized, full of life, excited. It's just the best feeling. It's the best feeling. And it's fun if you are someone who, not that I'm extroverted per se, but I definitely like to kind of be the life of the party if I want to, and this gives me an opportunity to do that. It gives you an opportunity to really put on a show in a way and make people feel good and make sure someone has a wonderful party. So it's very empowering. It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it, at least to try it at least once. So when you're doing a tarot party, there are a couple of things that I've learned over the years from mistakes that I've made. So here's some advice for tarot parties. So when you got to think about the readings itself. So how many people, what is your max amount of people that you want to read for? I've found that 15 is kind of my hard stop. Like, I can't do more than 15. I find that after 15 readings, it does become a little bit too much, and it's just, you want every person that you read for to have that same experience as the first person at the night. So you got to make sure that you're working within what makes you feel comfortable, what is easy for you, and what's not going to wear you out, because that's important, because you really want everybody there. You got to think about it. These people are paying, so every person deserves that same amount of attention, the same amount of your gift or your energy. So figure out how many people you can do max, and you'll learn that through doing festivals or public events where you're reading for multiple people, stuff like that. So you'll be able to figure out kind of what is your bandwidth and stick within it. Don't let anybody pressure you to do something that you're uncomfortable with, or to do readings for too many people. Again, there are a lot of tarot readers out there. That's a good thing, and they can find someone who will work with them. I used to do 10-card full Celtic cross readings when I first started doing parties. However, recently, over the past year, so it's taken me this long to figure it out. So it's a work in progress. You know, you make mistakes and you learn. But I learned this year that 10 cards was just way too much for me. I found that the readings were taking about 10 to 15 minutes a person. You figure that out. If you have 10 people at the party, that last person's waiting an awful long time for the reading. And honestly, by the time I got to that last person, my voice is starting to go. I'm giving them my all, but it can really knock you out. So I've actually gone to 6 cards. Sometimes I'll do 7, but I try to keep it around 6 if it's a large party. And what I do is I've tweaked the Celtic Cross, and I'm going to share with you what I do, and you are absolutely free to use this spread if you want. It works really, really well, especially in a party setting. So I just use the main part of the Celtic Cross, and my first card represents the person, it represents their present, and it's kind of like a little bit of, okay, this is where you are. And that's a great way to kind of hook somebody in, because immediately you're telling them about themselves, you're saying, okay, I get this kind of vibe, you're in this kind of situation, and 99% of the time the cards are right. The next card is a card that's crossing you, of course, so that's your second card, and I see that as something that's coming into your life, so something that's crossing your path. I know what the traditional meanings of the Celtic Cross are, don't get me wrong, but I had to tweak it because I want it. You got to keep your reading kind of light, you got to keep it fun, you got to keep it down to earth, because you got to remember, some of these people aren't tarot people. Some of the people that you're going to read for are there because their friends pressured them, or they're on the fence, or they are skeptics. So really keep it current, keep it to what makes sense for the people that you're reading for, and I find that you'll have more success. So second card that's crossing you, something that's coming into your life, something that you need to be aware of right now that's coming your way. Then the card underneath that, which is usually your base card in the traditional, I've turned that one into a lesson that you've learned in the past that's going to benefit you now in the present, in the future. So I always talk about, okay, in the past you went through this, you've experienced this scenario, and now you know in the future how you can approach this issue, or you can approach this lesson if it comes up again. So say they had the 10 of Swords in that position, I would say, well, in the past you probably dealt with some untrustworthy people, or you were at a real low, or you hit rock bottom, you know, depending on the other cards around it. And I would say you've already learned this lesson. So the card showing up here so that you know that trust your gut this time, or to maybe pay attention to your body, or to be careful with your health, something like that. Then the next card I do is on something going away, so it represents something that's leaving your life, so it's on the other side of the cross, on this side, and it's an energy that's leaving. And then I do a near future card at the very top of the spread, and then I do a distant future card on the other side, so it just kind of goes in a circle. And I find that that works really well. You're giving them a little bit about the present. You're giving them an extra card that's coming into their life. You're giving them another little piece of the past, kind of validates for them that you are legit and you know your shit. And then you have another card about their past, something that's leaving, something they don't have to worry about anymore. And then you have those future cards that people love and they want. And then sometimes, if it's a smaller party, I will pull a 7th card, and that's kind of a special message, or a message from spirit, or however you want to word it. It's just a special message for that person. I find the spread works perfect. I use it when I do big public events now and parties, and I find that I have no problem. So maybe I'll draw it out so you can actually see it. I think that it's a great way to do readings at parties. With that said, you really need to keep your readings upbeat. You have to remember, these people are at a party. They're there to have fun. They aren't there to be reminded of all of the problems in their life. They're not there to be told something horrible is going to happen. You want to keep it upbeat and fun. All of the cards in the deck have dual meaning. They all have negative and they all have positive. And when I do a readings at a party, I try my best to focus on the positive. Of course, if there's a blaring message that I feel like I need to tell, I will tell them. But I try really, really hard to keep that positive spin. You want people to be having fun. You want people to leave your reading and say, geez, you know what? Tasha was so much fun. I had so much fun in that room. We laughed and we had a good time. You don't want people leaving there shaking, because then the next person's going to be like, oh my God, like, am I going to go in and get the gloom and doom? You just don't want to do that. Remember, word of mouth. You don't want people to think that you're super negative and that you're at a party. Like, just keep that in mind. You're at a party, and that if people want to get really deep and if they want to get in depth, that's when you say, come and get a private reading with me. And that's how, not so much upselling, because I don't look at tarot as a sales thing, but it's definitely a way for you to continue to get clients coming back for a more in-depth reading. And that kind of is a way to advertise or almost sell your private readings. You want to keep control of your time, so watch it. Make sure that you're not stuck in chat, like with a chatty person. You're going to get the odd person that wants to talk your ear off and tell you their whole life story, and you have to figure out a way that's comfortable for you to can control that conversation and kind of cut it short when the time comes. Other people are waiting, and that's important for you to keep in mind. You're the professional, you're the one that's there providing the service, so it's up to you to make sure that these readings run smoothly and that everybody gets a turn and everybody gets equal time. I find when I get a chatty person, I do let them talk for a little bit, but then I will just kind of take the cards and put them away, give them my business card, and kind of say, okay, can you just let the next person know that they can come in? I usually make a joke and say, send my next victim, and they get it. I've never had any problems, but you have to be on it. You have to stay on your time. You have to watch it. I try for 5 to 6 to like 8 minutes max per person, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you have 15 people waiting for a reading and a host that eventually wants these people to leave their house, it really seems to work well. What else do I have here? So, of course, you have to be professional. You are your brand. You are, I think, to quote Jay-Z, someone said, how does it feel to be a businessman? And he said, I am not a businessman. I am the business man. Get it? Get it? Get it? Love it. So seriously, you are the business. You're the face of your business. You are the tarot reader. So make sure that you represent yourself and your brand and what you do in the right light. So how do you do that? Be kind, be polite, respond to emails, offer to, if they have questions, you're there to help. Make sure that you have testimonials, or if you're just getting started out, ask people for testimonials so you can get some. Be clean. Don't show up smelling like weed. Don't show up drunk. Like, be legit, be professional. This is your job. It is a job, so treat it like that. Be responsible, be on time, all of that stuff. You don't want a host waiting for you, wondering what happened or where you are or why you're taking so long. So absolutely make sure that you take it seriously and that you're there for your people. When it comes to drinking and food at the party, I find what works for me is that I will accept one drink. I will accept a glass of wine if I know I'm going to be there for a good 3 or 4 hours. I will have one glass of wine that I will nurse throughout the night, and then I will ask for water, or I'll bring my own water bottle. I usually try to bring my own water so that I'm not bothering my host or hostess, but definitely I've never had anybody get mad for asking for a bottle of water. Your host or hostess usually tries to offer you drinks and to offer you food, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but again, you want to use moderation. So if they ask you if you would like something to eat and you say no, and then they ask you again and they say they'd like to get you a little plate of food, I am not opposed to saying, sure, I would love a little bit. It's polite. Fine. If you feel comfortable with that, go for it. But don't go out there and be snacking with all the food. You will have people that will invite you to go out and get food. And I just look at it like, I'm here to do a service. I am here to add to your party. I'm not here to take away food from your guests. So just keep that in mind. And same as with the drinking. I really don't think it's a big deal to have a drink, but don't get loaded. Don't get drunk. Again, you're representing your business. You're representing your brand. In word of mouth, I'm telling you, I know it's 2018, but word of mouth goes fast. And people are so quick to say that someone did a shitty job. So you don't want to even fuel that. You want to just do awesome. You want to go in there and be professional, and then all they can say is good things about your amazing and wonderful self. So definitely watch your food and your drink, I think. Be responsible. Just think about it. How would you feel if you were hosting a party and your entertainment was drinking all the booze? Not very good, right? Stay until all done. So I know that can be tiring. That's where you need to know your limits. You need to know yourself. It's not fair to decide that 10 p.m. came and I decided by 10 p.m. I'd be done, I'm leaving, and you've got 3 clients left who didn't get a reading. Get everybody's reading done. Don't be a dick. Make sure someone knows where you are. So that's safety, number one, right? So when you're doing a party, usually you're going to someone's house or somewhere. Make sure that you have a friend, a roommate, your parents, your spouse, whatever. They know, somebody knows where you are. Use Google Maps and Street View. Creep the house. Know where you're going. Know what neighborhood you're going to. And make sure someone knows where you are. Text them when you get there and text them when you're leaving. Or text them in the middle. Stay in touch with somebody. That way, if anything gets weird, you can kind of get out. So, and speaking of getting out, that's another good tip. Make sure you, and I've made this mistake, make sure you park on the street or you park somewhere where you can get out. You don't want to get blocked in and then have to ask people to move their cars. What else do I have here? Street View, which we talked about. Price. This is a big piss off for me, friends. So, your price that you set is basically what you're valuing. Your time, all the time you took studying, and all your hard work to do tarot. Now, I try to keep my prices pretty low. And nothing pisses me off more than somebody trying to negotiate that price with me. No. I will not deal with that. So, what I do, if someone tries to barter, is I'm very firm. And I say, if this price doesn't work for you, and again, I keep it very low, but if it doesn't work for you, there are a million other wonderful tarot readers out there who would be happy to do it for you at the price that you want. Do not compromise your value or the value that you put on yourself as a tarot reader. Don't even entertain that. If someone doesn't want to pay or someone tries to rip you off, that's it. And speaking of that, your time. It's important. And I have a rule that if someone is a no-show, especially with private readings, that's it. We're done. I'm not going to rebook with you. You can find another tarot reader because my time is precious, your time is precious, and it's very disrespectful to just stand somebody up. So I absolutely would recommend to you to keep that in mind. Don't let anybody screw you around or dick you around on your appointments. So stay firm on your price and don't let anyone dick you around. And I think that is all of the advice pretty much that I have. I find reading tarot for the public is so much fun. And like I said earlier, I've met some awesome people. I've met some crazy people in a good way. I've met friends this way. I've gotten to know people in our community. I've gotten to know people that I admire in our community through tarot. I've been given the opportunity to read at bookstores publicly. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with your tarot talents in your career. So I hope that these tips help you. And if you're on the fence about doing a reading or starting to get public, I hope that this video will give you a little bit of inspiration.